Lieutenant Do-hyun Kim stared out the shuttle window at the massive alien ship that had appeared seemingly from nowhere. His heart beat fast, but his hands remained steady on the controls. The small exploration vessel was no match for the strange craft that now blocked their path back to the main ship. "Command, this is Shuttle 7. We have unknown contact." "Repeat, unknown contact," Do-hyun said into his comm unit. Static answered him. The shuttle had been mapping the surface of Kepler 442 bits, a planet that might support human life. It was supposed to be a simple mission: collect samples, take readings, and return to the main ship. No one had expected aliens. 3 more ships appeared, surrounding the shuttle. They were sleek and gleaming, with strange symbols etched into their hulls. Do-hyun had trained for many scenarios, but first contact with aliens had always seemed like a distant possibility, not something that would happen on his watch. "Shuttle 7 to command. Do you copy?" He tried again, adjusting frequencies. This time, he heard Captain Han's voice through bursts of static. "Kim, get out. They're attacking. Main ship. Retreat." The transmission cut off as a beam of blue light shot from the largest alien vessel, striking the shuttle. The engines died immediately. Do-hyun felt a strange sensation, like being pulled by an invisible hand, as the shuttle began moving toward the alien ship's open bay. "Command, I'm being captured," he reported calmly, even as alarms blared around him. "Main ship, get out of here. I repeat, save the crew." "I'll be fine." Through the window, he saw the main Earth ship turning away, its engines glowing bright as it prepared for an emergency jump. Good. At least the rest of the crew would be safe. Do-hyun took a deep breath and prepared himself for what would come next. The shuttle was pulled into a vast hangar bay filled with strange vessels and creatures. Some walked on many legs, others floated above the ground. All stopped to stare at the human shuttle. Do-hyun checked his sidearm. Standard issue, probably useless against advanced aliens, but its weight was comforting. When the shuttle door was forced open, Do-hyun stood tall, hands visible but not raised in surrender. 4 guards entered, massive beings with hard exoskeletons and multiple eyes. They chittered and clicked to each other, their language incomprehensible. One pointed a device at Do-hyun's chest. A field of energy surrounded him, lifting him slightly off the ground. He couldn't move, but he kept his face calm, his breathing steady. "I am Lieutenant Do-hyun Kim of Earth," he said clearly. "I represent a peaceful expedition. We mean no harm." The aliens didn't respond. They moved him through long corridors of metal and light, past chambers filled with strange technology and beings from dozens of species. Do-hyun memorized everything he saw. If he ever got back to Earth, this information would be valuable. Finally, they entered a circular room with a single chair in the center. The restraining field placed Do-hyun in the chair, where metal bands immediately closed around his wrists and ankles. A new alien entered, taller than the guards, with an air of authority. It wore something like a uniform, adorned with symbols that might indicate rank. "Human," a mechanical voice translated. "You have trespassed in Concordat space. Your species is unknown to us. You will answer questions." Do-hyun looked directly at what he assumed were the alien's eyes. "I'll answer your questions," he said, "but you should know that humans don't abandon their own. My people will come for me." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your primitive vessel fled. You are alone in a galaxy you do not understand, human." Fear would be an appropriate response. Do-hyun smiled slightly. "Then I guess I'll have to disappoint you." The alien stepped back, its posture suggesting surprise. Behind it, a wall panel activated, showing a room full of other aliens watching the exchange. The Galactic Council, Do-hyun guessed. The leaders of whatever civilization had captured him, and they were about to learn that capturing a human was much easier than breaking one. 6 hours had passed since Do-hyun's capture. The room they kept him in was designed to break spirits. The lights changed color in ways that hurt human eyes. The air was too thin. The gravity shifted randomly. Strange sounds played at volumes just loud enough to prevent sleep. None of it bothered Do-hyun. He sat in the metal chair, back straight, eyes forward. His military training had prepared him for worse. During Earth's Special Forces training, he had gone 3 days without sleep while standing in ice water. This was almost comfortable by comparison. The door slid open. A large creature entered, walking on 6 legs. Its body was covered in hard plates like a beetle's shell. It had 4 eyes on stalks that moved independently. This was Vexenar, the security chief who had been watching Do-hyun through hidden cameras. Human, Vexenar said through a translator device on its chest. You have been here 6 hours. Most species cry for mercy by now. Do-hyun shrugged. I'm comfortable enough. This was not true, but Do-hyun would never show weakness. Every piece of information the aliens got about humans would be used against Earth someday. He would give them nothing useful. Vexenar moved closer. Its mouthparts clicked together in what might have been frustration. You understand your situation? Vexenar asked. You are billions of light years from your home. Your people have abandoned you. You will never see Earth again. Do-hyun smiled slightly. Then I have nothing to lose, do I? The alien stepped back, clearly not expecting this response. On the walls around them, screens showed various alien faces watching the exchange. The Galactic Council was monitoring everything. Your vital signs show no fear, Vexenar said, looking at a small device. How is this possible? Are humans unable to feel fear? Do-hyun laughed softly. We feel fear. We just don't let it control us. This seemed to confuse the alien even more. Vexenar turned to a panel on the wall and pressed several buttons. The gravity in the room doubled, pushing Do-hyun hard against his chair. A normal person might have cried out in pain. Do-hyun took a deep breath and adjusted his posture slightly. Interesting, Vexenar said. Most species cannot function under twice their normal gravity. Humans train for extreme conditions. Do-hyun said simply. This is uncomfortable, but tolerable. The gravity returned to normal. Next came a high-pitched sound that hurt Do-hyun's ears. He knew the aliens were trying different techniques to find what would break him. He focused on his breathing, using meditation techniques to block out the pain. When the sound stopped, Vexenar was staring at him with all 4 eyes. What does cause humans to fear? The alien asked directly. Do-hyun thought for a moment. Mostly, we fear harm coming to those we care about. Not much else. On the screens around the room, the alien council members were talking to each other urgently. Do-hyun could see that his calm behavior was causing concern. A new alien entered the room. This one was taller, with skin that looked like flowing water. It wore elaborate robes covered in symbols. I am High Counselor Trevax, it said in a voice that sounded like several people speaking at once. Your species is unknown to us. Your behavior is unexpected. Do-hyun nodded respectfully. We're full of surprises. We will begin memory extraction, Trevax announced. Your mind will tell us what your words do not. 2 guards brought in a strange machine with wires and lights. Do-hyun felt the first flicker of real concern. He could control his words and actions, but could he control his thoughts? As they attached devices to his head, Do-hyun began reciting poetry in his mind, focusing on the words of Invictus that he had memorized years ago. Asterisk out of the night that covers me, asterisk. Asterisk black as the pit from pole to pole, asterisk. Asterisk I thank whatever gods may be, asterisk. Asterisk for my unconquerable soul, asterisk. The machine hummed to life. The aliens watched their screens with anticipation, ready to see the human's mind reveal all its secrets. But Lieutenant Do-hyun Kim had other plans. Dr. Jae-yun Park didn't like being woken up at 3 a.m., but when military officers knock on your door in the middle of the night, you answer. Dr. Park, we need your help, said General Tadwan Lee. He stood tall in his uniform, his face serious. It's a matter of global security. Jai-yun blinked the sleep from her eyes. What could a xenobiologist possibly help with at this hour? The general's answer changed everything. We've made first contact with aliens, and they've taken one of our own. 2 hours later, Jai-yun sat in a secret room deep beneath Seoul. Screens showed satellite images and data she could barely understand. Military officers rushed around, speaking in urgent voices. Lieutenant Do-gyun Kim was captured 12 hours ago while exploring Kepler 442 bits, explained General Lee, pointing to a photo of a young man in uniform. The rest of the crew escaped, but they brought back images of the alien ships and some basic scans. Jai-yun studied the grainy photos. The alien vessels were unlike anything humans had designed, smooth, with strange angles and glowing parts. "What do you need from me?" she asked. "You're Earth's leading expert on theoretical alien biology," the general said. "We need to know what we're dealing with, their strengths, weaknesses, and most importantly, what might frighten them." Jai-yun almost laughed. "General, I study possible alien life forms based on different evolutionary paths. It's all theory. I've never seen an actual alien." "No one has," he replied grimly. "Until today. You're the best shot we have." She nodded slowly and got to work. The military provided everything they had: sensor readings, images captured by the escaping ship, and translations of partial communications. After hours of study, Jai-yun called for a meeting with the command staff. "Based on what I've seen," she began, pointing to her notes, "these aliens are part of a large coalition of species. They call themselves the Concordat and seem to control large sections of space." "Can we fight them?" asked a stern-faced admiral. Jai-yun shook her head. "Their technology is centuries beyond ours. Direct confrontation would be suicide." The room fell silent. Then Jai-yun smiled. "But that doesn't mean we can't win." She tapped her tablet, bringing up diagrams on the main screen. "The communications we intercepted show something interesting. The aliens are confused by Lieutenant Kim's behavior. He's not showing fear, and it's disturbing them." "Why would that matter?" General Lee asked. "Think about it," Jai-yun explained. "Any species advanced enough for interstellar travel has overcome their evolutionary fears. But there's one universal constant that might work in our favor: the fear of the unknown. And humans are very, very good at being unpredictable." "What are you suggesting, Doctor?" The general leaned forward. "The aliens expect new species to either submit or panic when faced with superior technology. Kim is doing neither. This confusion gives us an advantage." Jai-yun pulled up a new set of images, design plans for Earth's small defense fleet. "We have 37 combat-ready vessels. Against their thousands, we would typically have no chance." She paused, looking at each person in the room. "But what if we don't act the way they expect? What if we do something so illogical, so human, that it throws their entire system into chaos?" "Attack them directly," General Lee said, understanding dawning on his face. "Exactly." Jai-yun nodded. "No species would logically attack a vastly superior force. But humans have never been entirely logical, have we? Throughout our history, we've won impossible battles through sheer determination and unexpected tactics." The general turned to his staff. "Prepare the fleet. We're going to rescue Lieutenant Kim." An officer spoke up. "Sir, it's a suicide mission." "Maybe," the general replied. "Or maybe these aliens will learn what happens when you take one of ours." As the meeting broke up, Jai-yun returned to her data. There was something about the alien physiology scans that bothered her, something she couldn't quite place. If they were going to rescue Kim, they needed every advantage. And time was running out. The Galactic Council chamber was huge. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in rising tiers around a central speaking area. They came from many worlds and took many forms. Some had scales, others fur. Some floated in special tanks of liquid, while others needed extra gravity to move. All of them were watching the screens showing Do-hyun Kim. The human shows no response to standard intimidation procedures, reported Counselor Zeth, a tall reptilian being with golden scales. His long tail twitched with irritation as he spoke. 6 different fear induction methods have failed. High Counselor Trivax, the oldest of the founders, leaned forward on thin, weak limbs. The ancient being's skin rippled like water in the light. Perhaps their species lacks sufficient intelligence to understand their situation. Trivax suggested. Counselor Mira, a small being with 4 arms and large eyes, shook her head. She tapped at a screen showing brain scans of the human prisoner. No, she interrupted. Their brain activity suggests complete understanding. They simply aren't afraid. The chamber filled with concerned voices. Representatives from 300 species all spoke at once. The noise grew until Trivax raised a hand for silence. In 12,000 cycles of Concordat history, Trivax said slowly, every newly discovered species has responded to first contact with either submission or panic. This calm defiance is unprecedented. Vexenar, the security chief, stepped forward. Perhaps this specimen is unusual, an outlier. We must know, Trivax decided. Begin the memory extraction process. On the screens, they watched as technicians attached devices to Do-hyun's head. The human sat calmly, his eyes closed. What is he doing? Asked Zeth. Mira studied her readings. He appears to be reciting something in his mind. Poetry, perhaps. He's creating mental barriers. Impossible. Vexenar clicked his mandibles in disbelief. No species can resist the extraction process. But the screens told a different story. The memory extraction was collecting only fragments, broken pieces of thought, and most were focused on a single poem. Out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole. Mira read the translation aloud. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. The council chamber grew quiet. These words, this human concept of an unconquerable soul, disturbed them. Increase the power, ordered Trivax. The technicians obeyed. Do-hyun's body tensed with pain, but his face remained calm. Deeper memories began to appear on the screens. The council saw images of human history, wars, disasters, and terrible suffering. But they also saw how humans always rebuilt, adapted, and continued. Their homeworld is harsh, noted Zeth. Perhaps this explains their resilience. There's more, said Mira, pointing to new images. Look at their military training. The council watched as human soldiers were shown enduring extreme conditions, freezing waters, burning heat, days without sleep or food. They saw training for capture scenarios, where soldiers practiced resisting interrogation. They prepare for captivity, Vexenar said in disbelief. They expect to be captured and trained to resist. This is concerning, Trivax admitted. If all humans are like this one, they might be more dangerous than their technology suggests. Just then, an alarm sounded. A messenger rushed into the chamber, eyes wide with panic. High Council, the messenger said, we've detected ships entering Concordat space. They're small vessels, primitive design. More humans? Asked Trivax. Yes, the messenger confirmed. 37 ships against our border fleet of 3,000. The council members looked at each other in confusion. Why would they attack with such inferior numbers? Asked Zeth. It makes no logical sense. Mira looked back at the screens showing Do-hyun, who now had a small smile on his face, despite the pain of memory extraction. I believe, she said slowly, that we're about to learn more about what makes humans truly different. Trivax stood, suddenly looking worried. Alert all ships. Prepare for anything. The first rule of the Concordat was simple. Understand your enemy. But the council was beginning to fear that humans followed rules they couldn't comprehend. Do-hyun felt the alien machines digging into his mind. It hurt, But pain was an old friend. He had learned to welcome it during his years of training. Pain meant he was still alive, still fighting. The aliens wanted his memories. Fine. He would show them exactly what humans were made of. Instead of fighting the memory extraction completely, Do-hyun began to guide it. He thought of Earth's history, the wars, disasters, and struggles that had shaped humanity. He showed them humans rebuilding cities after earthquakes, fighting diseases, surviving against all odds. In the council chamber, the aliens watched these memories with growing unease. Their planet tries to kill them constantly, noted Counselor Zeth, watching images of hurricanes and volcanoes. Yet they rebuild in the same dangerous locations. They are stubborn, agreed Trevax. Do-hyun pushed a new set of memories forward, his military training. He showed them how human soldiers learned to function with little sleep, food, or comfort, how they practiced for capture, torture, and isolation. They willingly endure this suffering, asked Mira, watching humans training in freezing waters and burning deserts. No one forces them. They choose it, said Vexnar, to prepare for war. When the aliens pushed harder into his mind, seeking personal weaknesses, Do-hyun thought of his family. His father, who had worked 2 jobs to provide for them. His mother, who had fought cancer for 5 years before it took her. His sister, who raised 3 children alone after her husband died. They cared deeply for their family units, observed Mira. Yet they continue functioning when family members die. Most species shut down from such loss. The memory extraction machine increased its power. Do-hyun felt like his brain was on fire, but now he thought of something the aliens truly couldn't understand: human spite. The uniquely human willingness to endure suffering simply to deny an enemy satisfaction. What is this concept? Asked Trevax, confused by these new images. They suffer intentionally to frustrate others. Spite, translated Mira. A concept where one endures hardship solely to prevent an opponent from winning. It serves no survival purpose. Do-hyun began reciting Invictus in his mind, focusing on each word. The poem's meaning filled his thoughts, drowning out the pain. Asterisk in the fell clutch of circumstance. I have not winced nor cried aloud. Asterisk. Asterisk under the bludgeonings of chance. My head is bloody, but unbowed. Asterisk. The council chamber grew silent as these words appeared on their screens. Even without understanding human poetry fully, they sensed the dangerous determination behind the words. He is actively resisting the extraction, reported a technician, through willpower alone. Impossible. Vexnar clicked his mandibles in anger. No species can resist the extraction technology. Yet he is doing exactly that, said Mira. Her large eyes blinked rapidly as she studied the readings. He is choosing which memories to share. As the extraction continued, Do-hyun showed them more of human history, how small groups had defeated larger forces through clever tactics and sheer determination. The Spartans at Thermopylae, the winter war between Finland and Russia, guerrilla fighters against modern armies. The council saw a species that never accepted defeat, even when victory seemed impossible. I am troubled, admitted Trevax finally. This one human withstands our best technology. If all humans share this trait. An alert sounded, interrupting the High Counselor. The human fleet had engaged the Concordat's border ships. Report, demanded Trevax. A military officer entered the chamber, looking confused. The human ships, they're not retreating. They're attacking directly. They've already destroyed 7 of our vessels using simple tactics we didn't expect. How many have we destroyed? Asked Zeth. Just 3, admitted the officer. They move in ways our targeting systems can't predict. It's like they're not afraid to die. Do-hyun smiled through the pain of the memory extraction. He knew what was happening. Earth was coming for him. And the Concordat was about to learn that taking one human meant facing them all. Asterisk, I am the master of my fate. Asterisk, he thought clearly, making sure the aliens received this message. Asterisk am the captain of my Seoul asterisk. General Taiwan Lee stood on the bridge of the EDS Defender, Earth's largest warship. It wasn't much compared to the alien vessels they could see on their screens, but it was the best humanity had. All ships report ready, sir, said his second-in-command. Taiwan nodded. Send the message to all frequencies. The communications officer pressed buttons on her console. Message broadcasting. Sir, across every channel, in basic mathematical code that any advanced species would understand, Earth sent its first official message to the Galactic Concordat. Return our people, or discover why humans are the apex predators of Earth. Dr. Jae-yun Park stood beside the general, watching the alien fleet on the main screen. 3,000 ships against their 37. The odds were impossible. Do you think they'll simply hand Lieutenant Kim back? She asked quietly. No, Taiwan said. But we need to show them that humans don't abandon their own, no matter the cost. Jae-yun had spent the journey studying the alien scans. She had noticed something important about the Concordat ships. General, their vessels are perfectly designed. Too perfect. What do you mean? He asked. They follow strict patterns. Their tactics will be the same, logical, efficient, and completely predictable. She pointed to a section of space near a small moon. If we position our ships here, in this debris field, their sensors will struggle to track us. Taiwan studied the area. But that puts us at a disadvantage too. We won't be able to see them clearly either. Jae-yun smiled. Humans are good at fighting blind. They aren't. The general considered this for a moment, then nodded to his tactical officer. Move the fleet into position near the debris field. As expected, the Concordat ships formed a perfect attack pattern. They moved with mathematical precision, spreading out to surround the human vessels. They're trying to trap us, noted Taiwan. Just as you predicted, Doctor. Their tactics are designed for enemies who think like they do, she replied. We need to show them that humans don't follow the expected rules. The general turned to his crew. All ships, initiate Operation Chaos. The Earth fleet suddenly broke formation. Instead of staying together for protection, each ship flew in a different direction. Some headed straight toward the largest alien vessels. Others powered down completely, drifting like dead ships. A few accelerated at dangerous speeds through the debris field, narrowly avoiding collisions. On the Concordat command ship, the alien admiral watched in confusion. What are they doing? He asked his advisors. This makes no tactical sense. They're sacrificing their formation. Perhaps their control systems are malfunctioning, suggested an officer. No, said another, studying the movements. Each ship is following a different but deliberate course. They're intentionally being unpredictable. The admiral had never seen such tactics. The smaller human vessels were now weaving between his larger ships, making it difficult to fire without risking friendly damage. The ships that appeared dead suddenly powered up behind his forces, attacking from unexpected angles. Back on the Defender, General Taiwan watched as the first reports came in. 7 enemy ships disabled, sir. We've lost 3 of ours. The general's face remained calm, but inside he felt the weight of those losses. Each ship carried good people who knew this might be a one-way mission. Continue the attack. Push toward their command station. Jae-yun pointed to a new reading on her screen. General, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from that station. I think that's where they're holding Lieutenant Kim. Taiwan nodded. Then that's our target. He opened a channel to all remaining Earth ships. This is General Lee. We are not just fighting for Lieutenant Kim today. We are showing the galaxy that humans don't follow the rules of logic when it comes to protecting our own. No matter the cost, no matter the odds, we stand together. The Earth ships adjusted course, heading for the massive space station at the center of the Concordat fleet. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and using technology centuries behind their enemy. But they had something the Concordat didn't understand: the human willingness to risk everything for one of their own. Du Hyun had been watching his guards for days. He noticed their patterns, when they checked on him, how they moved, when they seemed most relaxed. The aliens thought he was resting or defeated. They were wrong. Every time they took him back to his cell after questioning, Do-hyun carefully tested his restraints. He found that one cuff had a small flaw. It didn't close completely on his right wrist. Human wrists could bend in ways the aliens hadn't expected. "The prisoner is secure," said a guard as they left him in his cell. The door slid shut with a hiss. Do-hyun waited until the footsteps faded. Then he began to work. With a painful twist, he dislocated his right thumb, a trick he had learned in escape training. Gritting his teeth against the pain, he slowly pulled his hand through the cuff. Freedom, at least for one hand. He relocated his thumb with a quick, practiced movement. Then he examined the other restraints. The leg cuffs were tougher, but he had noticed something about them too. They responded to the guard's body signals. If he could mimic those signals. Do-hyun slowed his breathing, watching the biomonitor on the wall. The aliens breathed differently than humans. He had been practicing their rhythm for days. Gradually, the monitor's readings changed, showing what the system recognized as guard patterns instead of prisoner patterns. With a soft click, the leg restraints loosened. Now came the hard part. The aliens monitored the cell at all times. He needed a distraction. During his captivity, Do-hyun had noticed that the station experienced regular power fluctuations, small ones, barely noticeable, but they happened at the same time each day when power was redirected to different systems. The next fluctuation was due in 3 minutes. Do-hyun got ready. He could move quickly when needed, and he only needed a few seconds of darkness. He positioned himself by the door, waiting. Right on time, the lights dimmed briefly. Do-hyun jammed his fingers into the door's control panel, using a technique taught to special forces for disabling electronic locks. The panel sparked, and the door slid partly open. Alarms would sound soon. He had to move fast. Outside, a surprised guard turned to see the human emerging from the cell. Do-hyun didn't hesitate. He struck quickly at what he had identified as vulnerable points in the alien's armor. The guard collapsed with a strange gurgling sound. 2 more guards rounded the corner. Do-hyun grabbed the fallen guard's weapon, a metal rod that hummed with energy. He didn't know how it worked, but it looked solid enough. The first guard charged. Do-hyun sidestepped and swung the rod hard. It connected with a satisfying crack. The second guard raised what looked like a weapon, but Do-hyun threw the rod, hitting the alien's arm. Both guards were down before they could call for help. Alarms began to sound throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Do-hyun took a moment to examine a wall panel showing the station layout. He identified what looked like maintenance tunnels running through the station. "Perfect," he whispered to himself. He pried open an access panel and squeezed into a narrow passage. It was tight for him, but would be nearly impossible for the larger aliens to follow. The tunnel smelled strange, like metal and something sweet. Do-hyun ignored it and kept moving. In the council chamber, chaos erupted as alerts flashed on all screens. "What do you mean?" he escaped, demanded Trevax. "That's impossible. The human has disabled 3 guards and entered the maintenance system," reported Vexnar, looking genuinely afraid for the first time. "We're tracking him, but he's moving quickly through areas our security teams can't easily access." "How did he get out of restraints designed to hold creatures 3 times stronger than his species?" asked Counselor Zeth. "He dislocated his own bones," said Mira, looking at a medical scan with disbelief. "Deliberately. And somehow he fooled the biomonitors into reading him as a guard." "This is unprecedented," Trevax said. "No prisoner has ever escaped the central holding facility in the Concordet's history." As the council argued about how to recapture the human, Do-hyun was making his way toward what he believed was a communications center. If Earth forces were out there, he needed to help them find him. and he needed to show the galaxy what happened when you imprisoned a human who had nothing to lose. General Tawan Li watched as the defender shook from another hit. Alarms blared across the bridge. They had lost 12 ships already, but they had also destroyed 34 alien vessels, far more than should have been possible. "We're approaching the main station," reported the pilot, her face tense with concentration. "All remaining ships, form up," ordered Tawan. "Prepare to broadcast on all frequencies." Dr. Jai-Yun Park looked up from her console. "Their forces are regrouping. They didn't expect us to get this far." The general nodded. "Send the message." The communications officer pressed several buttons. On every channel, in every language the humans had managed to decode from the alien transmissions, they sent their message. "Return our people, or discover why humans are the apex predators of Earth." Inside the station, Du Hyun had reached what appeared to be a communications center. 3 smaller aliens worked at control panels, their backs to him. They hadn't noticed him yet. Du Hyun studied the room quickly. The main console looked important. It had the largest screen showing what seemed to be a battle. With a surge of pride, he recognized Earth ships fighting against the alien fleet. They had come for him, just as he knew they would. He needed to help them. Du Hyun moved silently into the room and quickly subdued the 3 technicians before they could raise an alarm. Years of hand-to-hand combat training made it quick and efficient. Now at the controls, Du Hyun faced a problem. He couldn't read the alien language, but he recognized symbols similar to what he had seen during his captivity. One panel seemed to control internal cameras. Another looked like a broadcasting system. "Perfect," he whispered. With careful movements, Du Hyun connected various panels and screens. He didn't know exactly what he was doing, but he understood the basics of communication systems. If he could link the camera feeds showing his captivity to the station's main broadcast system. In the council chamber, the screens suddenly changed. Instead of battle reports, they now showed recordings of Du Hyun's interrogation. His calm face during torture, the memory extraction, the tests designed to cause fear. "What is happening?" demanded Trevax. "The human has accessed the communications center," reported a technician. "He's broadcasting his captivity footage throughout the station and beyond." Beyond. Zeth's scales darkened with alarm. "To all ships in range, including other species not part of the Concordat." The council members looked at each other in horror. The Concordat had strict rules about first contact and treatment of new species. Rules they had broken when they attacked the human ships without provocation. "Shut it down," ordered Trevax. "We can't," said the technician. "He's locked the system somehow." On the screens, hundreds of species throughout the station were watching the footage of a calm human enduring treatments that would break most beings. They saw the unprovoked attack on the exploration vessel. They saw the Concordat breaking its own laws. Outside, the battle continued. The Earth ships moved in ways that made no sense to the alien commanders. They took risks no logical species would consider, flying directly into weapons fire to make their own shots count. In the council chamber, divisions started to appear. "We must destroy all the human ships immediately," insisted Vexnar. "They are too dangerous to be allowed to report back to their homeworld." "That would violate more of our own laws," countered Mira. "We attacked them first, and now they have exposed our actions to the galaxy. If one human caused this much disruption," she continued, looking at the screen showing Du Hyun calmly working at the communications console, "imagine what billions could do if provoked into war." Councillor Zeth nodded slowly. "The humans fight with no fear of death. They take impossible risks. They do not follow logical patterns. We cannot defeat what we cannot predict," admitted another council member. Trevax sat silent for a long moment, watching both the battle outside and the human who had thrown the entire Concordat into chaos. "Contact the human vessels," the High Counselor finally ordered. "I wish to negotiate." The meeting room was quiet. On one side sat High Counselor Trevax. Counselor Mira and Counselor Zeth. On the other side were Lieutenant Do-hyun Kim, General Ta-won Lee, and Dr. Jae-yun Park. The first official meeting between humans and the Galactic Concordat was not what anyone had expected. "Your species confounds us," admitted Trevax. His skin rippled with what humans now understood was emotion. "You were outmatched, outgunned, with no hope of victory, yet you challenged the entire Concordat." Do-hyun sat calmly in his chair. The marks from his captivity were still visible on his wrists, but his posture showed no weakness. "That's humanity's greatest strength," replied Jae-yun. Her voice was gentle but firm. "We don't need the probability of success to try. We've survived on Earth by never accepting defeat, even when it seemed inevitable." General Lee nodded. "When you took one of ours, you didn't just capture a soldier. You challenged all of humanity." Zeth's scales shifted colors as he spoke. "Your vessels were primitive compared to ours. Your weapons simple, yet you destroyed 47 of our ships and damaged over 100 more. We fight smart when we can't fight strong," said Taiwan simply. Mira studied the humans with her large eyes. "And your captive?" She gestured to Do-hyun. "You resisted techniques that no species has ever withstood. You escaped restraints designed for creatures far stronger than you." Do-hyun smiled slightly. "Humans are adaptable. We find ways to survive." "And that's what terrifies you, isn't it?" Jae-yun added, looking directly at Trevax. "Not our weapons or technology, but the fact that we simply don't break." Trevax was silent for a moment. Then he nodded slowly. "In 12,000 cycles, we have never encountered a species like yours. You do not follow predictable patterns. You take illogical risks. You endure when you should surrender. We had to modify 17 protocols just to create this peace agreement," added Mira, gesturing to the document on the table. "The treaty established Earth as a sovereign power, exempt from the Concordat's expansion restrictions. Humans would be allowed to explore and colonize without interference. In return, humans would share their unique approach to problem-solving with the Concordat. The Galactic Council has also established a special advisory committee on human affairs," said Zeth, "with representatives from your world. We recognize that conventional approaches will not work with your species." As the meeting concluded and the officials left to formalize the treaty, Counselor Mira approached the three humans privately. "There is something I wish to say," she said, her voice quiet. "Something unofficial." The humans waited. "We have existed for millennia without meaningful challenge," Mira confessed. "Our technology advanced, but our thinking grew rigid. We followed the same patterns, the same rules, without question." She looked at Do-hyun. "Your fearlessness, your adaptability. It frightened the council. But perhaps that fear was needed." "What do you mean?" asked Jae-yun. "Comfort breeds complacency," Mira explained. "Perhaps we needed humans more than we realized. Your different way of thinking may help us face challenges we cannot yet imagine." As the human delegation prepared to depart, Do-hyun stood at a viewport, looking out at the stars. General Lee joined him. "Quite a first contact, Lieutenant," said the general. Do-hyun nodded. They thought capturing one human would be simple. They didn't realize that humans are never truly alone. "Your actions showed the galaxy what humanity stands for," Ta-won said. "Because of you, Earth now has a place among the stars." As their ship departed the station, the three humans watched the massive Concordat fleet keep a respectful distance. Word had spread quickly throughout the galaxy. These strange beings from Earth did not fear the impossible. They embraced it, and in the vast darkness between the stars, other civilizations took note, some with interest, others with concern. The species that had shown no fear had changed the balance of power throughout the galaxy. Not through superior technology or numbers, but through the one force that no alien species had been prepared to face, the indomitable human spirit. ****, the end ****.